Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. Twitter rugged us, but fear not, we are here to stay. Um, Technical difficulties, but do not worry, guys. We're here to stay. We're here to bring our mission out to the masses. We'll wait about one more minute, and then we'll get it started. So sorry for the inconvenience, guys, but get ready to start.
Yeah, also, guys, please share our new Twitter space because Twitter rugged us. So, yeah, we lost our last one.
Yes, click the button. Click on the comment in the bottom right. Go ahead, share it. Tag three friends, three Web3 family members, whoever. Just get them in the space. They do not want to miss this space today.
Few more minutes.
Man, what a day. It's been like non-stop. I'm literally like, you're catching me in the middle of writing a little thesis here for the Yoga Pets ecosystem, as well as I have a presentation open that I'm giving next week for Impeak and the Digimonks. And the topic is on traits for success, really in 2023. So I'm going to be going into a lot of different traits that successful people have and organizing it and how you organize your day and how meditation can help. And we'll probably do like a guided meditation as well if we have time. So it'll be a really nice looking presentation. And it's the beginning of this ongoing creative phase. You know, I'm a writer and an author, but I decided just to completely pivot the entire way I did things. And I no longer write books, although I have two books unpublished still. I decided it's better for the younger generation to learn it in a different way that's more streamlined and effective. You know, more kind of presentation, video format, audio, what have you. So now I'm having to like take everything that I had before and start converting it. You know, a lot is already converted, but we still have a ways to go. So it's been like a crazy like day, like nonstop.
Awesome, man, and definitely, baby. I want to thank you again for taking the time out to carve the hour of your day. I know how busy you are with everything going on, so it's always a pleasure to have you. It's always a pleasure to speak to you. We do see a bunch of people trickling in. Once again, I want to welcome everybody in. We're the Gardens of Web3. We're gonna get it rolling. We have an amazing guest here today, and he's gonna talk about everything. Our goal is to talk about the path of enlightenment, but um, with further ado, let's introduce Zygus. He'll go ahead and introduce the Guardians of Web3. He'll introduce himself, and then we'll take it from there. Go ahead. Welcome in, Zygus. How you doing, man?
Yeah, what's up? What's up, everybody? So, this is Raigis, and you're listening to the Guardians of Web3 podcast. Basically, more people than ever are starting to seek mental wellness, especially at the Web3, where they are spending most of their time. And on this show, we will listen to the most amazing leaders of the space and their journeys. These people had ups and downs like we all had. So sit back, guys, relax, and get ready for our first show. So, meanwhile, I would like to invite the Nick, who's behind the Guardians of the Web3 account, to introduce a little bit about himself. Then I'll do my little introduction, and then we will talk more about our guest. So go ahead, Nick.
For sure. Well, first of all, my name is Nick Allen. It's my real name. I'm super doxed in Web3. I've been in Web3 for about a year and change now. Been I've seen a lot of ups and downs. I've seen a lot of good things. I've seen a lot of bad things. And my biggest area that even myself have to improve on is my mental health, right? We've all been burnt out. We've all had to do a little bit too much for a whitelist, and we just felt defeated if it didn't go our way. And I didn't, even in my personal life, I've just recently, maybe the last 6 months, started focusing on my mental well-being. Right, I know the importance of it. Coming from the culture that I do, it's kind of frowned upon. But I said, forget the stigma, forget the mold, get the help that I need, and that leads me here today to be positive and encouraging and be able to try to bring out the best in everyone. So that's me in a nutshell. I really reside to what Bebe preaches and what we're trying to build here. And mental health is the backbone of everything, and you have to focus on it before it is too late. I'm going to transition to Zygus so he could give you a little bit of his story and why it's so important to him. Go ahead.
Yeah, so as most of you know, my name is Gigas Dictus. I'm 26 years old. Basically, soon will be 27. So near-death survivor from a small country of Lithuania. In 2017, I suffered a car accident that had me teetering on the brink of a death. I spent nearly 6 months in coma after my face was over 90% destroyed. I have undergone 6 surgeries already to reconstruct my face. I lost one eye. I had to learn how to speak, eat, and walk again. Despite almost 3 years to get back on my feet, I'm still here fighting and wanting to become independent again. I have taken to GOW3 as a place where I spend bulk of my time learning and training in attempt to pay for my upcoming operations. And the universe gave me an incredible opportunity. This year, I met an incredible person, Digimon, at the GOW3 space. So that person changed my life, changed my interview to myself. He's neuroscience, PhD, master yogi, art of stress-free living author, yoga pets guru, and founder of the Digimonks. And in my opinion, one of the greatest builders at this space right now. So please welcome Bebeches. How are you, Bebeches? Please introduce
Wow.
yourself.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know how long ago, I did Spaces with Roundtable. And I remember, I think Nick was there, right? Nick, you were there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It's like from there till now, it's like I'm working on an article where I want to kind of like describe this journey from like a dream into a reality, so that people can be inspired to really chase their dream and know how to make it a reality. And one of the fundamental principles to making any idea a reality is to not just have a plan. And that plan sometimes requires investing in yourself, education, coaching, a lot of like kind of like personal work on yourself. But at the same time, it requires a lot of organization and execution, more importantly, because I realized that you can say all you want, but the moment you have to do something is when the fear, the doubt, the uncertainty starts to creep up, because you start to think, can I do this? And so one of the things I often say is people should, when they feel stuck, they shouldn't ask how I can do this. They should ask who can do this. And so that led me to the realization that Web3 was probably the best place to build, because it has that element, the network effect, the connection with people, where you can connect with people across the globe. And it allows you to really then do a lot more, because the things that you don't know how to do, you can much easier find somebody who can help you with that. And anchored as well in truth and and providing value and being transparent, it then really makes it so that people can really get aligned with your mission. And then they're more likely to want to join in the vision and the journey. And so like when we finally finished the mint and we had reveal, all of a sudden that fear and uncertainty, doubt, I could feel it there in the background. Because anytime that you do something new, and this is why on the Digimonks Medium, I wrote an article on the benefits of challenging yourself. And because if we get, habits are good when you establish them because they make everything easier. Like if you have good habits, it's good. You just don't think about it. You'll do the things that are really beneficial. But at the same time, habits are a little bit dysfunctional in the sense that they can make you lazy and they can stagnate growth. We must always be kind of pushing the boundary. But the problem is that when you push the boundary, it really like opens the door to this kind of doubt and this uncertainty and this nervousness of what's going to come. Because I've alluded to this in previous events, and I'll be teaching a session on this. It's basically the quantum physics of mental health, which is probably a new concept that nobody has ever taught this that I know of. And the idea is that if I project my mind likes certainty, it likes as close to 100% as possible. That's my logical mind. My logical, rational, bipolar mind likes certainty. But the problem is that if I project myself out into the future, now I'm a creator, let's say, or I have some things that I want in my life and I'm thinking about the future, I'm worried about it, a test, let's say if I'm a student. The outcome in the future is really unpredictable. There's many avenues of outcomes that my life could take. And if I stay stuck in the future, it will only lead to anxiety and worry. My mind starts to agitate in an effort to grasp at one option over another. And it starts to really kind of feel that the probability goes down. And if you study quantum physics and quantum mechanics, you'll notice that it's all about probability. Nature, this mental world that we live in, is about that. The only thing that is 100% real is the eternal now. Right now, what am I doing right now? And every time that I've had these moments in the past week and a half where somebody's messaging me, oh, something about the floor price or do this or whatever, I just focus on one thing. What are the things that I need to do to deliver to the people that believe in me, that invested in what I'm doing, and to the people that have yet to invest that will be joining in the future? And so when I anchor myself in continuing to kind of chip away, I continue to get one step closer to making that dream a reality. And that's where people often like fail, is where they're too hasty and they are unwilling to continue to push to make their dreams come true because it's difficult. And however, if we do this for an extended period, eventually we will look back and be like, wow, however long the journey was, a year, 5 years, 10 years, it will be worth it because you will have built greater freedom and you will have touched many more lives. And so, so it's been kind of like very interesting journey because when I started in this space, I had a dream and a vision, and I couldn't find anybody that really shared that dream and that vision. I don't know, like maybe people really like what I was teaching, and but it just was falling on deaf ears. You don't know how many times I reached out to one community after the other, and it was just all like rejection or people weren't interested. And and it wasn't until I reached out to the yoga pets that, by the way, it wasn't again something that was handed to me in a silver platter. I had to make that happen. I reached out. I kept persisting. We couldn't connect because we were both busy. And then eventually it happened. And then from that presentation that I gave till now, it's just been like this parabolic rise. And that parabolic rise has been kind of like a life bringing people, individuals together in synchrony, and it just kind of magnifies the effect. And so it's difficult, and I'm not gonna say that for me the journey has been like a smooth ride, People have to understand that where you see me now, it's many years of sacrifice, many years of struggle. I've spoken in other spaces how my wife has had to accept, come to terms that I wasn't going to be who she wanted me to be. I needed to be who I was meant to be. And I sacrificed a lot of personal wealth because I could have ended up in many other positions making very good money. But for me, money wasn't what I was interested in. And so I knew that I was really destined to do something else. And I've made it kind of my mission to make that a reality. And and no matter what the cost, without, of course, sacrificing my own well-being, without sacrificing my family and my children. You know, if you ask my wife, she'll say that I'm one of the most involved parents there are. I taught my wife most of what she knows about taking care of young kids. I taught her how to change a diaper and how to, you know, effectively put them to sleep and all this sort of stuff because she was new to that. And I had a previous daughter from an relationship when I was younger, and so I'm not like a hands-off person. Whenever I get involved and I commit to doing something, whether it's get a pet, buy a house, start an NFT business, or whatever it may be, I don't do it loosely. I do it with 100% commitment. I will give my all to whatever I do. And when you take that type of approach, it's almost as if whatever you're doing is the love of your life. And therefore, you're going to give more than you ever thought possible. And people are going to notice it and feel it because your attention is going to be there. Like if you just met somebody and you're head over heels and you're just lost in their gaze, and an hour seems like 10 minutes. And so, my mission now is to uh, help people discover that, to discover what their dharma, their purpose is, to enjoy a healthier, more vibrant life, to untap their hidden potential. And that hidden potential is in the code that already exists within all of you. And I'll be, going about the process of teaching this in a way that's more accessible to this digitally oriented younger generation, as well as the era that we're moving into, in which everything is going to be digitized.
Wow, that's so powerful and so much information. Baby, I'm a part of Digimonks, and I can attest to how hard you work. I can attest to how much value you're bringing. You're super hands on, and it shows. It shows in how you pick the right people to be a part of your group. It shows on everything you're doing after, right? Just to like dissect a little bit of what you just said, right? Um, with how accomplished you are in Web 2, right? Why Web 3? Why do you make that jump to come into Web 3 and share your vision and share your purpose? Why Web 3?
Yeah. I started really in Web 2, and I had this idea, and I started like doing retreats, and write about I would write about this, and I started working on my first book, which has never been published, which will be part of Digimonks, which is Voice from Human to God. It's basically about transpersonal development, really explaining the limbs of yoga in a way that I've never seen done before, in a very integrative way that allows people to really apply and build a strong base. And so, as I'm going through this journey and I'm testing out all of these ideas, um, it got to the point where I was now working with like a firm that handles big clients. I was about to kind of boom, big clients like Grant Cardone, for example, who's a big like real estate mogul and a social media personality, and and everything was clicking, and all of a sudden, right during my last event, I came back, and then they started to kind of shut down everything, and then I realized there was something much bigger going on in the world, and so I had to pivot. And what was going on that I noticed was happening is something that happens in the shadow markets, in the repo markets, they're called. It's a lending mechanism where banks, big banks, central banks lend money to businesses and amongst each other. And there was like a big flag there. And I noticed there was something really fishy going on because that coincided with this whole change in worldwide agenda. And so I started to really kind of research. And the more I dug, the more I realized that there was a complete shift happening. The world was being forced now into a different way of doing things. And we were shifting away from the industrial era and into a digital era. And then I saw the power of crypto, the power of blockchain and NFTs. And so it took me a while to get into NFTs, but I started first with crypto. And as I started to kind of learn more about NFTs, I decided just to kind of buy one and see what happens. And I still hold that first NFT. It's a project that's done very well, and I've invested in many ones that are in the Hall of Shame, in the hide list of your wallet. And but even despite that, those were all learning lessons because if I have a quality that people should emulate is that I approach any scenario with the deepest of humilities. And humility, my definition of humility is being able to sit passively, not necessarily physically sit, but it's more of a mental process where you're in the presence of somebody, and you're willing to sit at their feet, honor them, and allow their light to shine into you. Whatever they have to offer, you allow it to come in. And this allows me to go into any place and always learn from others, learn from even the so-called quote unquote lowliest of people. I've gone, hung out with like homeless people and sat and had long conversations and learned many valuable things. And so I approached Web3 in that way. I got into many communities that were rugs, many communities that did things right, and many communities that did things wrong. And so this allowed me to really learn how to sculpt and build a project, how to market effectively. And I had done a lot of marketing study prior to that because of my Web2 kind of small business. And so a lot of the kind of like aches and pains along the way, a lot of the mistakes of other people, not just my own, were like learning lessons. And so when I started to see Web3, I realized that compared to doing it in a Web2 format, if I focused on providing value, touching people's lives, being transparent, I realized that that was a mega trend because now you can't hide anything. Everything is now kind of in a ledger for everybody to see. Everybody can look at your wallet, see what you bought, see what you sent where are the funds going. And so I realized that if I did things in a way that was transparent, truthful, honest, providing value, that Web3 had a very karmic way of expanding your reach and your influence. And so then I just kind of continued to develop relationships and just provide value, never asking for anything in return. At the beginning, it wasn't even with the intention of, I wasn't even thinking about a project. I would talk about it. And if I listen to early recordings, I realize that it seems almost prophetic compared to where I am now. Like what I used to say then is happening now. And again, the only reason that's true is because I kept executing day by day. If I had a week where things weren't going right, I would take a step back, spend time with family, refresh, get a new perspective, and then I go back in there. And so I'm also the type of person that doesn't mind getting dirty, in the sense that I will do what's necessary. I don't like. I'm not the type of leader that will be like, oh no, that's your job. Like if it needs to be done quickly and I can do it, I'm gonna do it. I'm not going to sit around and then expect somebody else to do it and be giving orders. I'm like like I would never like put myself up on a pulpit, on a podium. I would be seated at the feet of everybody else at the same level. I've always treated, in any scenario that I've been with students or what have you, events, I've always sat at that level, and I've always treated people with the respect that they deserve. Because I believe that if you want something in your life, you first have to give it. If you don't give it, you won't ever get it, because you have to embody what you want. And so Digimonks is really, it's really about that. It's a project that what it stands for, it's almost like the roadmap and what it does and what we show. Everything that we do really embodies that mission and the roadmap. And so it's really the goal being to really transform human consciousness and to accelerate human evolution, and to make it so that every single brilliant person out there that's in Web3 can really find a home in the Digimonks and find illumination and growth. And they can use the tools that we will teach to really level up their lives, both personal and as well as their business, to be able to have more energy and vibrancy. And so for me, knowing that everything was going to be digitized, I knew that I needed to convert everything from an old model, even an old publishing model. A book is an old format. I have these ideas of like multidimensional experiences. So that's what I'm creating, like with the digital ashram, where um, we host events and they're more immersive, and they have like soothing music and stimulating sounds that are good for your nervous system, that get your nervous system to work less but create more, because people don't realize that we're overworking our brain. And I did a spaces on that. We'll be doing a presentation on this for Digimonks, which is on how an overactive brain shortens your lifespan. And so I want to explain how that works from a neurochemical standpoint, as well as from a kind of like a brainwave standpoint, a kind of deeper level, because I truly feel that people want more. We're in an era now where whatever doesn't grow, doesn't evolve, will stagnate and die. People are tired of being told what to believe, what to do, how to think. They want to be thinkers, they want to be inspired. And I've taken it as my mission to do that, and to find other inspirational people that can do the same. And so in the Digimonks, I'm slowly assembling those people. I interviewed somebody that we're doing an event tomorrow in the Yoga Pet, so you want to make sure you tune into that one at 2:30 p.m. at the same time this event started, but tomorrow. And he's committed to joining in and doing a lot of stuff. I'm working with Zen Yogi, or previously known as Crypto Yogi, and he's done many events. He's a lovely human being with a ton to offer, but he was a little bit kind of like dismayed by Web3 and his struggles, and he's taken a step back, and he also has some personal stuff that he's dealing with. But I know slowly he's gonna kind of slowly come back, and he shared a beautiful yoga nidra, a special type of yoga nidra that I absolutely love. And I'm gonna be prepping it up with some music, and where the Digimonks are the first ones to gonna get access to this. So that's kind of like it's just that the digital space and Web3 really will serve to exponentially grow anything. And it is the ideal way to grow a community, a brand, a business. And so you will not hear me ever call the Digimonks a project. A project is what little kids do. That's where this space was at the beginning, even early this year. But now you're going to start seeing a shift where those that really were savvy early on and knew what they were doing, they're going to last. Those are more of the blue chip projects, the ones that you associate with, excelling. But more and more, you're going to see more entrepreneurs, more experienced people come in, and the space is going to be taken over. And this is like the internet boom of the 1990s, or the social media boom of the 2000s, where people thought, oh, what's that Instagram? What's that YouTube? Are you kidding me? Why am I going to have my business there? Web3 is exactly that. And whoever gets in early will see, if you have a good product, will see explosive growth like anything ever seen. And that's why right now it's the time for champions. It's during winter, like I was listening to Tony Robbins recently, and he said something really interesting. And then with this, I'll stop. I'll pause. Um, during the good times, when things are very easy, that's when weak people are made. Weak people, that's where fraudulence can go up and scams, and everybody is feeling good, and people get lazy, people get careless. But it's during the winter time when things are tough, when it's almost like survival more, where you have to get creative, where the strong ones will rise. And this is why everything is cyclical. When things are good, things decay because of people's own decay. They get too lazy, they get too comfortable. But when things are hard, that's when you weed out all of the things that don't work. You start to weed out the bad businesses and the bad actors. And then the people that really shine are going to start to rise up and are really going to stand out. And they inspire people. And then the world starts to shift again. And then we rise again. And that's why everything rises and falls. Everything is cyclical. And we have to be vigilant and in terms of finances, play those waves, those cycles, and take profit when it rises, which I did earlier this year. And then you sit in liquidity and you wait for all of that to pull back. And then you wait for the right opportunity to slowly dollar cost average. And of course, during those difficult moments is when the opportunities are. If you look at most major big businesses, including, like, for example, when Apple rose to prominence, it was during difficult moments. So big businesses rise, big ideas rise during moments of difficulty, and then they can last, much longer.
Wow, Bebe, I'm really amazed, like always, of your experience and wisdom at this phase. And I think that you will have to write another book, how to build a successful Web3 business and brand, because I bet that you will do that. I 100% certain. Yeah, but
Yeah,
actually,
maybe this recording. You know what we should do? Yeah, I'll explain how to download the recording of this, and then I'm gonna actually have it transcribed automatically, and I'll just convert it into like a comprehensive Medium article and supplement it, and I'll have it out. If you get it to me, you can get it by tomorrow, and maybe by Friday you'll have the recording. Then over the break, I'll write up an article, and then we can, like, get it out there so people can read it, because I think that there's a lot of people out there that have good ideas, but they don't realize that their fears, their struggles are the same fears and struggles that successful people have. It's just sometimes maybe like, I think in my case, for me, it's about perseverance. I just have this willpower that just won't be denied. And so I just keep pushing, and I spent a long time, like, think about like a surgeon. They don't go and do surgery immediately. They have to get trained. A yoga master, let's say, doesn't you don't like go up into an ashram, let's say, and in a few weeks you come down and you're self-proclaimed master. No, you have to spend a long time, and when you're ready, then you can start influencing people, and you can start inspiring them and teaching them. And that's the problem that exists in this space, is that I really like Guardians of Web3 in the sense that we want to find those really genuine, special people, and I'll hope to make some of those contacts as well, because there are a lot of people out there that are generally doing amazing work, but at the same time, there's a lot of people out there that they only think about themselves. And I'm not going to mention a name, but I know somebody personally, and he's really struggling with a lot of mental health issues now, because the project didn't go well, his project. And part of the reason is because his shift is always towards himself. And the moment that he realizes that the shift can't be towards himself, it has to be towards others, is the moment he's going to explode, because generally he's a genuinely nice guy, has a lot to offer, but he's still caught up in what a lot of people struggle with, which is that kind of centering themselves within themselves rather than putting their point of focus outside and trying to see how they can serve others. That's why the Digimonks is anchored on the principle of loving, serving, and giving as the greatest form of worship. I don't pray for myself. I pray to be put in the position to be able to serve others better. And I remember when I was doing all the labor, all the work, before anybody knew me in this space, which is many years ago, before I did anything, I would always sit down, I would quietly center myself, and I would ask for that. For my body, my mind, my spirit to be made into the perfect vehicle to express my higher self, to be able to express greater love, to be able to give more. Because my passion needed to be converted into compassion, which means that I no longer focus on me. I focus on igniting the flame in another. And that is compassion. Passion is when you're passionate about you, your stuff. And sometimes you have to start out. You start off with your own flame. But at some point, that flame must ignite another. Your cup must overflow and fill the cup of another. And therefore, that's why I built in this kind of charity or giveaway mechanic where I keep giving back and giving back because I want the success that the Digimonks has not to be my success, but to be the success of others. So that if they have a good idea, they have a good charitable idea, that we can fund that with the funds, a portion of the funds that the project generates. And so I have like a whole kind of, kind of process to do this. And that will allow us to generate consistent revenue. And that revenue continues to go back to the holders, but not to the holders where I just passively give them stuff. It's that will happen. But I want a good portion of those funds to fund good ideas and fund good people that have a good heart and that want to make a difference. And that's the way that we end up changing the world, by igniting that flame. And I had that vision many years ago when I was meditating. And I have this type of meditation that I will teach advanced students, not anywhere near in the future, but I can teach it to an advanced student, where you kind of vacate your consciousness from the body. And I withdrew from the earth and had this kind of omnipresent view of the earth. And then all of a sudden I saw these little spotlights of light on the earth in different places. One of the most intense was in the Himalayas, in the Nepal region, in the area where there's a lot of like spiritual powerhouses, individuals that are not known to most people on earth, but are doing work silently to transform this world for the better. And I realized something. Boy, the world looks so dark. The world looks so in trouble. And I wanted to find a way to create something that could grow in a network-like effect, which is math. Again, we go back to the math. And I could increase the probability that the world would become a star. If you look at the Earth internally, it is a star in development, but it's not gotten there yet. And as it reaches the outside, it starts to cool and it produces a crust. But within the Earth, there is magma, there is light. And our goal as a society is to transform our consciousness to make ourselves beings of light. And in the process, we will transform the earth into a star as well. And so that's kind of like the main impetus behind this is, I know it's a lot of work, but I know that with the right people, anything is possible. That's why, I was always drawn to the Web3 motto of together we're stronger, WAGMI, we're going to make it. It's not about that's what I love about Kongu as well. I don't know if there's a Kongu listed, a banana listed person here, but if you haven't found out Kongu, they have that idea of like we all eat is the kind of saying, they're apes, we all eat together. It's that joint movement of if I benefit, you're going to benefit. I don't want to benefit if other people in the community are not benefiting.
David, you just answered the three of our questions. So you're reading our minds. Yeah, but I would like to ask you, so yeah, let's talk about the future. So what do you think the future of Web3 will look like in terms of mental well-being? What would be the future of a Web3?
Yes. I've done a lot of study on this, and I'm even invested in certain companies that have that angle as well. I don't work only in the Web3 side. I also look outside in the Web2 area, and traditional markets. And so I already know that there is a ton of venture capital, a ton of innovation coming into from Web2 into Web3. So, for example, telemedicine, um, the use of natural medicines, psychedelics, for example. So that's why we brought on the Digimonks. I've been looking more and more for experts in that area. And this person that we're going to do an event tomorrow in the Yoga Plus with, he spent over 2 years with shamans in South America. And so indigenous cultures are going to rise as well because they've maintained ancient practices that are very advanced. And I talk about this in different events that I teach, including one that I'll be teaching in the near future as part of the Art of Stress-Free Living program for the Digimonks. And so there's going to be a lot of like fusion. And I also see a fusion meaning that you'll have a therapist using natural healing modalities, using Web3 technology for helping patients. So there's a lot more like virtual consultations. So if I were a physician, let's say in the mental health space, boy, would I be growing a social media following? Would I be getting into Web3 now? Because my practice shouldn't be just where I live, it could be the entire world, it could be anywhere in the world. We have the opportunity now, especially when even like actually surgeries, because now we have like robotics, AI. There's a lot of technologies now that allow us to do a lot more quicker, more effectively, more environmentally friendly, more sustainable, and in a global fashion. And so I'm seeing like an acceleration that's going to happen in kind of the rise of humanity and an advancement in human consciousness as more people become aware of this, more people get in it and do that kind of education. And lastly, something that I see that will be of great benefit is the anonymity, in the sense that right now, I don't know, like, some people may be docs here, and I know some people here from personally, like I know Nick Allen is docs, but I myself are, I know Zygus, but I've spoken to the aspirant, the aspiring nobody, but for most people, they have a username and a profile pic. And I found that doing these spaces, a lot of times, a lot more honesty and authenticity comes out than you see in everyday life. And so that's something else that I see kind of being a plus, is that in mental health, we can start doing away with some of the negative stigma that's very pervasive in mental health, especially with the male sex. And so now I can like feel more comfortable getting help because nobody knows where I live or who I am or what have you. So that's where me knowing all of these things and me knowing that this is a mega trend and it's a much larger market cap. Me and Kakarot of Yoga Pets, we've posted stuff on this, and people don't realize that it's more than twice the market cap of gaming or even and gambling combined. And so, because people value their health, and sometimes they don't do something about it because they don't know how. They haven't found somebody to kind of either shepherd them, guide them, give them the tools. The medical system is not designed for that. It's designed to keep you the way you are and give you like a buffer, give you like something that minimizes the symptoms but doesn't really deal with the cause. Because if I have cancer and I go get chemo and now I'm in remission, that didn't cure cancer. That just killed the cells. And right now there's no sign of cancer, but that doesn't mean cancer doesn't come back. And so we need to like start teaching people how to maintain a state of harmony and ease, and therefore avoid disharmony and disease, which is at the heart of mental and physical illnesses. And so that's where I see everything going. And so if we play it right, we have a number of mechanisms to play this right. We will have a stranglehold on this space. And when people come in and are looking for the Web3 version of blank, fill in the blank, in health, wellness, yoga, what have you, meditation, we will be at the forefront of this. And having established and helped many people in the space, it will allow us to really kind of like take off. So I think people are starting to pay attention. And I was talking to somebody recently and I said, we're not really reaching Asia for some reason. And then all of a sudden, like a lot of big influential Asian and alpha communities have been reaching out in the last few days. So I think it's just a matter of time before there's like this snowball effect. And a lot of people just don't realize it, because at the end of the day, people are still in a money-centered mindset. They have a poor person's mindset. They may be wealthy, but they're always looking for the next flip. They do not have real wealth. They don't know how to generate real value because they're only looking at it from a monetary standpoint. And if they learn how to build real wealth from within, the world will be at their feet. And that's what Digimonks is about. It's about teaching you how to build real wealth and power, which you, Zygus, were the inspiration for that series, which I think this Guardians of Web3, I think it has become an evolution of that in reality, because we will be bringing in people like that. You should bring in Manos de Papel, which I interviewed again, and host them in a future episode. And I spoke to, I don't know why I'm blanking, but it'll come to me in the near future. But there's somebody amazing that you should bring in as well, that has another like great story as well, that I was talking to in a chat recently.
Of course, we will.
Wow, Bebe, man, it's always such a pleasure to just hear you talk about what excites you, right? It's different when someone talks about something that they're passionate about, right? So I want everyone in here to spam some hearts, spam some type of emojis for Bebe. He's here, he's doing this out of the goodness of his heart. He's here to enlighten people, right? Um, Lately in the space, there's been so many people that's been either getting rugged, they've been getting their NFTs that they've saved so much of their paycheck to go ahead, and they're getting it stolen, right? Bebe, share your story. What's the worst thing that's happened to you in Web3, and how does everything that you teach, how does that help you not only cope, but help you kind of flip the script so you are more positive and you still want to continue your Web3 journey?
Yeah, I've had like a number of rugs. I remember this one community, I knew it. The art, you could tell that there was a little effort put into it. There was a lot of hype, and then eventually one day I go into Discord, and there's just like, and the icon for the logo, it just said bye. Like it's like the most pathetic people on the planet. Um, and that was a moment that I kind of like said, that's it. I'm fed up with this. We need something better. And from that point on, I've barely invested in new projects. I've gone and invested back in the projects that I believe in, like the CyberKongz ecosystem, for example. During the bear, I bought 5VXs. I added a Genesis Kong, and I took advantage of the pullback to go in and like buy cheaply, which is what you want to do. And so, but my biggest probably like pain point was the Luna collapse. And it made me realize that the space was full of crooks. and that not just NFTs, but crypto, that this world is just full of crooks. They don't want to lose their position of power, and they will do whatever they can to destroy anything that's good. And the entire pullback that has happened has been due to these crooks wanting to get in, including, big banks like JP Morgan Chase. They use their influence to go on media and to influence retail investors to sell at a loss while they go up and scoop up everything. They take all the blood and they take it from the streets, and then all of a sudden, lo and behold, they start announcing that they're offering crypto products to their high-end clients. Again, the rich stealing from the poor. That has been the motto of the earth for the past 100 plus years. We're moving now into a different era, like I said earlier, of more equity, where now crooks are going to be seen for what they are, crooks. Where businesses that are damaging the planet because of their practices are going to be seen for what they are. I was in a spaces and they talked about what Elon Musk is doing with Twitter, how he took away Twitter Spaces. And when I heard that, I just jumped in. I'm like, wait, what? You mean to tell me that he thought it was a good idea to take Twitter Spaces? What an idiot. And I started talking about Elon Musk. And then Moon Pie, who's a Digimonks, she's one of the co-hosts. She goes, "Oh, baby, I can't believe you're saying that. You're this and that. You're such a fun lover." I'm like, no, I am. But you know what I don't stand for? I will always ardently defend the weak, the defenseless. And when I see people that are hypocrites, that pretend to be one thing and yet do another, I will defend. I will stand up and say something. And I started explaining how that the business model that he espouses, for example, Tesla, is all a mirage. It doesn't do anything to help the planet. It's actually, when you go and you look behind the hood, there's a lot of human rights abuses, a lot of violations of countries where their politics are put at risk and their resources are stripped. And so this type of debt-based destructive model needs to be done away with. That's why the Digimons are going to be learning about eco wellness, a concept that I created that's unique to what I teach, so that people can understand that our well-being is dependent on the well-being of Mother Nature, of the earth. And you cannot build anything and expect for it to keep growing and growing endlessly, because we don't have multiple earths. We only have one. And so because of that, I realized that this space, albeit right now full of pioneers and small, was meant for greatness. And if we continue to build and we have patience and we deliver value, eventually we will yield very, very big returns, because everybody that's doing things in a way that's damaging, it will come to light. And every day that goes by, I see this now more than ever. Like, now there are even accounts that will find different things, like before FTX closed, I made a tweet 24 hours before, and I said, get everything out of FTX. I didn't have anything FTX, and I said, why? I looked at the numbers, I saw the data and the evidence, and 100% I had no doubt that that was going to go under, and that Solana was at risk as well. Fortunately, I had sold all Solana earlier in the year. I don't buy into like centralized cryptocurrencies. But I had a little bit of Solana left, and I just sold it all. I probably should have even sold all the NFTs as well, but I still hold some that are, good projects and may pivot out of Solana. But that's the kind of thing that right now will much easier than ever be brought to light, because now there is a machine, a digital machine which puts our privacy at risk. But we won't talk about that today. But at the same time, that machine that is always operating, when we do things, those things can come to light. And so, we need to stand for the truth and for loving against serving and giving. And at some point, I know that everything will take care of itself. Like you see it, people are reaching out to us for like promos and paid. And I was talking to Hype, who's here, and Hype and Dude were saying, hey, why are we going to do that? We don't need to do that. And I was like, yeah, we're getting we're getting all of this for free. Why are we going to do it? We didn't reach out to any community. All the communities reached out to us for a reason. And I think that that's very different. It's a different way of doing things. And it's the way that I think a lot of the successful communities did it. When you have something good, stand out. And so I know that there's going to be rough periods and a lot of highs and lows, and we'll navigate through them like any other time in my life.
Wow. Super powerful, man. We only have one Earth, right? So we do have to take care of it. And I do agree with you about the way how some Teslas are made. The batteries alone are super terrible for the environment. And another big comment you said is basically karma, right? You got to treat people how you want to be treated, and just however you treat people today is how you're going to be treated tomorrow. That's such a big thing. And a lot of people, they think that if they scam someone now, you're going to forget about it. But Web3 isn't like that. Every single thing is on the blockchain. You can't lie. You might get away with it today, but a month, a year from now, there's going to be some very smart people that they're analytical about everything, that goes and dig deep and try and find out exactly what you did. So yeah, I totally agree with you. And just for everyone in the crowd too, if you guys have any comments, any questions, anything for Bebe, for myself, for Zygus up here, go ahead, request to come on stage.
Yeah, let's have people come up,
Yeah,
and then I'm gonna, in the meanwhile, that little dialogue box at the bottom, if you want to participate for the Digimonks guaranteed mint giveaway, make sure to retweet the space, comment down there what you liked about today's episode, and then I'll be looking at that when I run the Twitter picker. I will see if the person left, a significant comment that you can tell that they were actively here, and then I'll announce the winner, and then you can receive your role.
yeah. Actually, you also mentioned a good thought. I remember when I was co-hosting a Twitter Space, my first Twitter Space with a web at the GOW3 Discord, and I remember a good friend of mine told me, "Gigas, remember, internet never forgets and forgives." Yeah, and basically, right now I understand that those people who made bad things to the people here and so on, they won't be forget, and they would pay their price in the future. I mean, they're screwed for the rest of their free life. So yeah, and right now I see that we already have people who want to step up. So
Yeah, let's go with Kizzy.
Hey,
okay,
everybody. So excited that I was able to make this. I think this is such an amazing. I mean, baby, let me be honest with you. I met you one time on a Twitter space, and
Yes, I
you
remember.
were speaking so much to my soul on what you were saying. I know we're around the same age, so we kind of relate on a lot of the upbringing and the things that we've been through, and like not even being able to talk about mental health in our prospective neighborhoods and certain things like that, things that weren't talked about that are way more talked about now. That I just appreciate what you're doing in general. I think it's important. I'm a people person. I'm all about the people. That's what brought me into this space, is just being able to do what I do in Web 2 and Web 3 and be a people person and see how many people I can help along the way. I think what you're doing and how you're presenting yourself and how you're navigating this space is a great example of what the future has for us. So I just want to give you props on that. I appreciate you guys holding this space. My biggest thing that I have noticed is just the lack of helping each other. I feel like I've seen a lot of selfish things going down in the bear, which I thought would have been the opposite. I would have thought more people would help and encourage each other to stay in the space. So I just appreciate things like this. I think this is the most important, is that we talk about people as human beings, right? Because sometimes we get so lost in the sauce behind these profile pictures that we forget that we're all human, we're all going through things, and we got in real life things going on, and we need to give each other a little grace in between those things, right? So sometimes, I know, at least for me, this is my escape from my in real life situations. You know, this is where I come to escape a little bit and have a little joy, have a couple laughs, talk to a few of my friends, so I can kind of tap out of that real life situation. So I just want to encourage everybody to continue to like uplift each other. Thank you, Bebe, for being such a great example. Just appreciate you guys for throwing this space, Guardians of Web3. And yeah, thanks for having me up. I just wanted to give props. I had to.
That's right. What a spirit. Nice. Thank you, Kizzy.
And just a quick thing to piggyback off Kizzy. Kizzy's the homie, man. I talk to Kizzy every single day. Um, when you talk about someone who, no matter what, it could be like 20 inches of snow outside her window, and she will still be positive. That's the type of person she is. So, Kizzy, thank you for coming up. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for speaking. We have Big Nelson that's on stage. What's up, Big Nelson? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, Guardian. How are you guys doing today? Yeah,
Great, great.
yeah, thank you. Basically, I just came up here to appreciate Bebe Chem. Man, you're just you're an amazing speaker. To be honest, I've learned a lot just this few hour or few minutes I've been here listening to you on this AMA. Man, you're a super amazing man. Thank you very much. I'm just here to appreciate you guys and thank you guys for hosting the space. It was really, really helpful, bro. Thank you.
Thank you for being
You're
here.
welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, and the next speaker is D.A. So please come up.
The answer.
Blessed light to all. Yes, guardian of the web. Thank you for having us here. Zygus, I don't know you, but I've heard plenty about you from Bebe. So it's a blessing to finally be able to be in the same space. Bebe, you already know, man, it's always love. Yes, I just actually came up here just like Big Nelson to just show love and let everybody know that this project, I can't say how monumental this project really is in words, but all I could really do is let you know if you haven't been in tune yet, get in tune. Make sure that you're aligning yourself with things that make sense, especially tapping into the esoterics, and that's what Bebe is always bringing. So,
The
like I
esoteric
say,
will,
enough love for that.
yeah, the esoteric and the occult is only esoteric and occult because it's at the hands of the few. And the goal is to make this knowledge that can really revolutionize the world and transform people's lives, make it into the hands of the many. And there's a reason why a lot of the things that we're going to learn are not taught in school. I realized this as an educator over many decades that the education system that we had was very outdated. It's of the early industrial era. It's a very kind of Nazi oriented education system that is designed to put you in a peg, to make you fit part of the industrial machine. And it teaches you a lot of things that you don't need, and it stunts creativity and innovation. And so, what we want is to do things differently and to start teaching the younger generation the things that they should have learned in school but were never taught, and to progressively move this to younger and younger generations. And that's why I haven't unveiled that yet, but I've mentioned in a number of spaces this idea that I've worked on for a few years now for a program for younger kids. So if you're an adult and you have kids, an NFT project that will be designed for your kids to learn the things that they should be taught but are not, so that they can thrive, they can flourish, and they can discover what their dharma is, their purpose, earlier, before they make mistakes, before they reach, the so-called midlife crisis and be like, what have I done with the first half of my life? And so that's kind of like the goal that I have here as an educator. For me, it's more than just like, I don't see yoga pets, for example, as just yoga. I'm not, working with them And we're not doing all the sacrifices that we are just for yoga. This is about more than that. And so we want to be entrenched in the very fabric of the educational system and the lives of people, for it to be easy to be used and all that kind of stuff. We want it to be easy. We don't want any barriers and obstacles. And so I want, even the community to be like that, like no stress, there's no friction, there's no need to worry. There's no like, oh, whatever the floor price is, there's no, oh, grinding for anything. It's about producing value. There's people that, it's so beautiful because I don't even need to ask. I think it was here earlier, Bandini, who's down there. Bandini got a secret role like this. How? Without saying anything, he just started making stickers. Amazing stickers, gifts, a couple of videos, one of which he sent me today. That's another really cool one. And he's just like a super, I mean, I don't know it could be a she, I'm sorry. There's a very amazing person, and they're just about what Digimon stand for, which is a person that embodies value and wants to share it, and without really, with less effort, they were able to guarantee themselves a mint. And that's what I see oftentimes in our communities. There's so much like noise and chatter, and people get so frustrated, and that's so unhealthy for their mental well-being. And I wanted to do it differently. I wanted to be, look, you earn it, or by doing things that are valuable, that push the community forward and the business forward, or there's a giveaway and you're here and you win it. And there's no like, I'm going to go on Digimon's Discord, I'm just going to be talking away just to get my attention to see if you win one. At the end of the day, all of us on the team, whether it's Digimonks or Yoga Pets, we're super busy. And at the end of the day, that's not really going to work out, and it just creates a lot of friction. A lot of people are like, oh, but I've posted 12,000 times. Why did that other person get it? And so, we have to do away with some of this noise, some of the nonsense that really still pervades the space. I remember doing a spaces on this topic on how to make this whole kind of mint listing more effective. So it goes back to what I said earlier: be a student, be humble, sit, listen, learn, sit, listen, learn, assimilate, integrate, apply in your life, put it into practice by executing. You'll make mistakes, but mistakes are your best teacher. And as you make mistakes, you get better. And what seemed difficult now seems easier. Boy, was I nervous with the mint. Boy, was I nervous post-mint. Well, how am I going to get this done and that done? And it just seems like things get done because you just keep moving the machine forward. You keep connecting with people. People help you. You hire somebody. You do this, you do that. And it just seems to work out. But you have to chip away at it, baby steps, without kind of getting overwhelmed about the future and its uncertainty and its low probability, as we mentioned earlier. Let's see. We have NFT Guru.
Actually, Balak. Balak
NFT
was the
Guru,
last person.
yeah, NFT Guru seems to be having connectivity issues. So if they request again, we'll bring him on stage. Or her.
Bala, go ahead.
Meanwhile, Balak, you requested to speak. Do you have any questions?
Maybe
I guess
Web3.
Hi, hello everyone. Well, I just joined, so I missed some of the things you were talking about, but I can imagine what it was about based on the last speech you gave. Anyhow, I was following you, I think, like when you just started doing spaces here in Twitter. I attended one of the first spaces because, anyways, attended one of the first spaces. Like the idea, I think, shared a couple of my ideas, but I did not follow the project at all, honestly, and like I am in the dark right now. But I wonder, you're talking about learning and knowledge and everything, and in my case, I have been learning so much, and how it's called, like sorry, getting a lot of knowledge. But sometimes I feel like there is a law of, like, universal law of like acquiring knowledge without applying actually kind of can harm you. And I kind of struggle with applying the knowledge. So in your project or your community, do you guys have any kind of incentive or like any kind of processes that you guys do to empower people to actually integrate what they learned and to actually experience the gnosis, in a gnostic way, experience the things that they have learned? And if so, what are those practices, or
Yes. No, it's funny. I noticed that I follow you, so I know that if I follow you, it must be from some time ago. So nice. Thank you for being here. Yeah, the I've talked about. I've thought about this a lot, and I'm constantly as I experience and I get to know people. Like when Kizzy spoke, I could recognize her voice. I remember her from when I did that round table. So like I get to know people genuinely. Like when I hear voices in the Digimonks, I recognize people. This is what is a key ingredient. This is why being a student and learning from other successful people is important. I listen, I learn, I study, and I integrate, and I put it into practice. So the first step is number one is when I teach stuff, I always try to include three principles: theory. Why are you doing it? Because if you know why you're doing something, why it matters to you, maybe it matters because if you don't do it, you may struggle with, some mental health issue, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to really struggle with stress anymore. There's a pain point. Then the step two would be practice. What can I do in my daily life to improve in that one area? And then three, it's integration. How do I integrate it into my life? What principles can I do? And this needs to be taught. You can't tell somebody, like, this is what I don't like. When I wrote The Art of Stress-Free Living, I was like, hands down, The Art of Stress-Free Living is the best book or one of the top books in freedom from stress ever written. That was my affirmation. I truly 100% believe that. Because when I go out and I look at everything else that's out there, I realize that it's people coming from a very medical angle, or they'll cite a lot of research, but they don't really know what it's like. The way that they write it is not really kind of applicable. I don't find it useful. And so I really wanted to kind of grow. That was kind of like my first crack at it. And then over the years, I kept kind of tweaking it. And how do we then bring that into Web3? That's what I was writing when I started the spaces. Web3, since you joined later, I highly recommend you go to the beginning and listen to a recording. And before I jumped in here, I literally went from, I was working on two things: an article, presentation that I'm doing next week, as well as this kind of write up on the exact question that you just asked me. How do we get people to want to act, learn, and be rewarded in a sense? And so there's a mechanism that I'm going to be discussing with the yoga pets that will integrate as well the Digimonks ecosystem, where just there's two tokens. There's one that is passively earned. You're a holder, you stake, you earn it. That allows you to be able to get some of the interesting things, like maybe buy a resort. And if I'm a business owner in the wellness sphere, let's say, maybe I want that because I want to have a window into the Yoga Pets ecosystem to offer my products or my services or my teachings. But there's another token that is earned. It's not passively earned. You have to actively earn it. And so if I teach a course, let's say, there's going to be more advanced versions, and you can't buy your way into it. It will cost prana. You have to either earn it passively, or you go on a liquidity protocol and you buy it. But you have to have this other token, and this token is called karma. And this karma will have a lot of utility that I'm writing right now. I'm working on the I don't want to call it tokenomics, but I guess the mechanics of it, like the utility of it, expanding its utility so that it becomes a focal point of the ecosystem. It's kind of like an internal token. It's not one that has liquidity. It's more that it's a lot more powerful in the sense that let's say you come into one of my entry events, a beginner event, let's say, and you enjoyed it, and now you're seeing people like moving up the leaderboards. They're accumulating all this karma, and they're entering now and using their karma to enter other courses. But you kind of have been stagnating. You haven't been applying. You haven't been doing, you know, the work, the courses, the whatever. We're gonna build in different things to kind of like get feedback from people, have them to actively be engaged in what they're learning. Me having done some of this as well through different certifications and trainings, including yoga, I know that most of the, for example, if somebody gets like a teacher training, let's say, most of that teacher training happens virtually. It doesn't happen in person with the actual yoga studio or yoga institution. So there are ways in which you can, as a user, really have kind of like a gamified experience. And not only that, if you do level up and you make it to more advanced levels, then it opens the door for you to be able to do other things. For example, offer and now become like a let's say a Digimonks coach or a yoga pet certified teacher. And maybe in your local community, you could start a small business teaching the things that you've learned because now you're kind of like a more advanced practitioner, you could say, and you can start to monetize that. So there's some sort of incentive here built in as well. And what I like about it is that over time, we could really build out a system where you a la carte pick what you want to learn. You're not told, learn all of this useless thing you don't need, like the current educational system, where kids learn a whole bunch of stuff that they'll never use. They get degrees, most of which they never use, especially a bachelor's degree. And now you're kind of like streamlining your life. You identify what you like, what you're good at, and you find ways to get to your dreams sooner, quicker. And you're healthier, more vibrant, more energetic while you're doing it. And to me, that sounds to me like right now, obviously, it's a dream. We're not there yet. The world isn't there yet. But like I said at the beginning, all the dreams that I've had, I've slowly been making them a reality. How? I don't stop doing. I keep building. I keep creating. I keep meeting people. I keep inspiring people so that they then have the wherewithal, the energy to act alongside me and help make everything that we touch better. Because if it were just me, it'd be terrible. I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at. And since I'm honest with myself, I always seek to find people that are good at the things that I'm not. And in that sense, they are a part of the bigger, the bigger picture. That's why I've always said this: be whatever you do in life right now, be proud of what you do, because no matter what you do, you're doing a service. I see, for example, in the education system, teachers, I said at the high school level, feeling frustrated, they're not compensated, but at the end of the day, they don't look deeper and they don't look at maybe lives that they've touched, that they've inspired. And so that's where even somebody who goes and collects your garbage once or twice a week, they're doing a very valuable service, because if they didn't do it, who would do it? So everybody plays a role, but we need to remove people from doing things that are below human level. Humans deserve to be creative. Humans deserve to do beautiful things. Humans deserve to explore. We need to go back to how humans deserve to live. And right now, in many respects, we live almost like a life of a prisoner. We're very bound and limited. And I have never lived with limits and boundaries. I've always seen myself as a giant, and I want people to live without boundaries as well. And that, takes time. And I think that if you have the right teacher, that right teacher can inspire you to that greatness. And then as you take those steps to integrate it into your own life and you see the results, it starts to change your belief in yourself. And by changing your belief in yourself, what will you do? Set new goals, take new actions, yield greater results, which changes your belief even more. to take even bigger goals and bigger actions. And it's a positive feedback loop that will transform you into a newer self, into a greater self.
This is great, man. I've had a couple things I wanted to say, but actually the most powerful thing is that when you were saying about like be like, you know, you're picking up trash, or you're a teacher and maybe you're against the whole system, and you realized how educational system is bad, but you still can find a lot of things to be proud of, and maybe you changed a life of a little kid who did not have any kind of love at home, but he gets love from you as a teacher. Like, it's very powerful. And then it just made me realize that I'm doing my gratitude meditations, like with Mala Beats 108 meditations, you know, and they always like find gratitude for everyone who maintains the infrastructure for our world, you know. People who take out trash, people who restorators, like servers, waiters, cashiers, everyone. And the thing is, I'm doing it for the outside, for the people outside, but I never considered that I should be grateful and proud to myself for what I am doing. And like during your speech, this realization came to me. So I'm glad I came up to this space, and it's kind of like a little release moment, you know, like a little weight over the shoulder. I became lighter. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you are welcome. I think that something that you'll realize if you spend time with me is that I don't connect with the body that produces the sound that you're listening through your headphone. I connect with the space upon which all of you exist, because we are all emptiness, a void, a sacred space that's unconditional love, allows anything to manifest in it. And because I connect with that space and I'm 100% present, everybody here right now is the love of my life. There's nothing else that matters right now. I'm not going somewhere else and doing something while you're speaking. Your words matter to me more than anything in the world at that moment. And because of that, if you'll notice that when I host events for those who are receptive, then what happens is what happened earlier, where Zygus goes, "Oh, you answered 3 questions we have lined up next." It's almost as if I become a part of those that are there, and I'm testing a way to create a sacred space where I can imprint a part of that essence, so that anybody can go into that space and heal. They can go and deposit their burdens, their obstacles, and those obstacles and burdens will be dissolved. That I don't have to do it like I've done it in the past, which is being physically present with the person. Everybody here matters. Everybody here is valuable. And anything that you're going through that may be difficult, it's passing. It will not last forever. If we get caught up in the turmoil, it will sweep us away. Allow the turmoil to go through you, and then when it's no longer there, let it go. Don't keep clinging onto it. Don't shove it away either. Shoving and clinging produce resistance to the flow of life, and that resistance is the number one source of stress. It's what creates the friction with life that produces a mental disturbance and agitation within you that is very uncomfortable. So, whatever happens in the flow of your consciousness, it is meant to be. Don't accept everything. Work to make changes in your life, but don't push and shove and fight with life, because whatever you're going through is exactly what you need. And if you're in this room right now, maybe for some of you, some of the things that have been shared have resonated with you, and it's maybe a time for you to act. And so, can I ask where you located?
I'm in San Diego area.
In San Diego. If you are interested, I know you mentioned Mala Beats. I usually do this. This is only for like Digimonks holders that have a bead necklace, Digimonks. But if you wanted a new one, that's fine. But if you had one that you use regularly and you wanted it charged personally by me, I am more than happy to to work something out. Either you send me one that you currently use, or I can get one new for you, charge it for you, and send it to you as a gift. So you can use it for your own practice.
Wow, I don't actually understand what is happening here, but honestly, it's insane. But yeah, my mala beads, honestly, very old. I did not like cleanse them. I charged them long time ago when I just got them, and I was like on very peak of my spiritual path, I would say. Not very peak, but back in time it was like I think the highest, most connected point that I was, and so I charged them, and after that I never cleansed them, and they fallen apart. I bought the thread and I remade them again by myself, and never like recharged them or anything, and they don't really feel too much of the energy like I felt before from them. And now I really need to learn more about your whole ecosystem, because it's interesting. You're saying about some beat that you have in ecosystem. I would definitely look into it for
Yeah,
sure.
like there's two options. Let's do this. I'm gonna purchase a mala bead necklace with the correct number of beads. For there's a mathematical reason that I can explain us in some other future session for holders. And what I'll do is I'll start charging it, and at some point that's going to be a gift that I'm going to give down the road. If you are a Digimonks, whether Gen 1 or Gen 2, at that point you will be the automatic winner. If not, I'll raffle it away to current bead necklace trait holders. There's legendary ones that have it. I know Ganesha has it, and the Ganesha legendary, as well as a number of the non-legendary ones. This is something that's for some people they may not understand. But if you've ever been to a sacred place, a place that's used for worship, for a lot of like higher self stuff, a lot of very deep spiritual practices, maybe in Asia or even in some places in Europe and the US. I've noticed this when I went to Sedona, Arizona, very powerful energy there. Um, you can actually do that for objects as well, and even people. I've done that to heal people as well. So I'll be teaching how this works in a later session. Well, sorry, my headphones died. So I'll recharge. If anybody has another question, we can do that now or wrap it up.
I think that's it. If you want to run the giveaway, and then we'll go ahead give our closing remarks and wrap up the space.
Perfect. Let me take a quick screenshot so people don't leave. Remember, when I run the Twitter picker, I will go check to see if your username is somewhere in that Twitter picker with comments. So make sure to comment something that really touched you, you liked, inspired you, what have you, something you want to apply in your life. And then I'll take a look at that, and then I'll select the winner later this afternoon. So I'll be running it in a few minutes. So make sure that dialog box at the bottom that you've entered, retweeted, liked, and make sure you comment something you liked about the space or inspired you.
Actually,
Yes.
yeah, I I remembered our first meeting. So GOW3 then was asking about how are you feeling those sounds, and I don't know, the other people not being with them. And I remember when the first time we talked together and you were asking me, is my story is real? And actually we talked with the Bebe for 3 hours, I guess. And the most amazing thing happened in my life during that time. Bebe, I I mean, he's like a sorcerer. I felt like he was reading my mind, because I never shared a few things with anyone in my life, how I felt inside inside myself back then. And Bebe started bringing those things up. And I was really confused because it seems that I never shared that information with anyone. And all of a sudden, a new person just came in. He's at a different part of the world in the United States. I'm here in Europe. And we are talking for a first hour, and Bebe is telling the things how I'm feeling deeply inside of myself. And wow, I mean, that's powerful. It was powerful. And then I understood that the universe just gave me an opportunity. And this person, he already changed my life, but he could change a lot more.
Yeah, and we're just getting started. And
Yeah.
this goes back to the thing where I've been practicing meditation, and all of a sudden I get an image. Somebody comes to visit me in spiritual form and says, "Master, teacher, I need your help. Somebody needs your help." And I will vacate the body and I will help somebody that's not anywhere near me, that's not near my physical body. The idea that you are limited by your body, by your senses, is an illusion. And it's only a product of the fact that I have put my focus of attention and I've collapsed this wave of potential, this kind of deeper, more subtle spiritual side of myself that's a lot more expansive, and I've collapsed it into a body. And now I think that I live almost like if I'm inside a box. And so it goes back to what I said earlier, where in that moment when I'm talking to you, Zygus, I am connected at a level that you exist as well. And therefore I can almost like perceive what you feel and what you're going through. And the problem is that I don't make my things an obstacle. I don't put myself in the middle. I drop that barrier and allow the other person to fully express themselves, and then I start to connect closer. And so, that's why I said that I feel like this is just a beginning for you. That you're destined to really inspire other people that have gone through some of the same trauma and near death, experience that you did, and that there's a lot of like greatness and kindness within you that was there all along, but was not manifest because you were living a life that you weren't meant to live. You were paying attention to other things that were just distracting you from your real purpose, and life had to kind of like give you a wallop to awaken you. And the moment that you embrace that is the moment that you're gonna rise like that phoenix that we did that honorary piece of the Digimonks for, because that's what you're meant to be, that rising phoenix. And I should mention that the winner that I ran did not leave a comment. So if you did not leave a comment about what you learned, you will not be winning. And it's a person that I've mentioned before. The hint here is this person won a pets list, left the spaces and didn't win, and they know who it is. If you don't leave in the next few minutes a good comment about what you learned, I'm going to be rolling it again. So it would be a pity.
Come on, guys. Just follow the instructions. So we've been going for about an hour and a half. I want to thank you, baby, so much for taking the time out, even going over our allotted time. Just because you were in the vibe, you were speaking, people were vibing with what you're saying. I love that, man. I love how good of a public speaker you are. And for all of the 68 listeners in the crowd, thank you guys so much for coming out to our episode 1 of our Path to Enlightenment. Our goal is to bring the best people in the space that could go ahead and resonate with this idea of mental health, mental well-being. And it's our first episode, but it will not be our last. We're lining up with some of the biggest names, some of the best names, and some of the people who just relate to what we have going on right now. So I definitely want to thank you guys so much. Before we go ahead and wrap it up, tonight at 7 p.m., we will be speaking with Bebe Ches again at the round table. He will be teaching us how to manage stress and how to keep a healthy balance. You guys do not want to miss this. I have gone ahead. I have pinned it to the top. Go ahead, guys. Set your reminder. 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. You could come late, whatever, but you'll miss some of the great knowledge that's there. Make sure you're on time. Make sure you show up. You do not want to miss it. Once again, from the Guardians of Web3, my name's Nick Allen. We have Zygus over there. We also have Ed Baca, who is missing today, but he's a great member. He will also be on our next space. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming. We are going to wrap it up now. See you on our next episode.
Peace out.
Peace
Stay
out.
zen.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all for coming here. One more time, thank you, Bebe, for finding some time and spending with us. Thank you for all the listeners. And if you guys have any good or bad comments, how should we improve ourselves? How we should improve our podcast at the next episode? Actually, the next episode would probably be after the holidays. It would be at 2023. Yeah. So I won't say who would be our next guest, but I'm willing that he would be also a very strong leader of this space. So leave it like this. So yeah, guys, you can always DM me, DM Nick Allen, DM Guardians of the Web3, and tell us if you liked our space or maybe you didn't like it and you would like us to change something. Just tell us everything. We will try to improve. Thank you so much one more time. And we wish you
Wait.
to have.
Before we end, one thing. You said something. This is something that I want all Digimonks and all holders to eliminate from your life. Never say, I will try. Say, I will. Because the moment you say, I will try, you're already putting a barrier. You're putting an obstacle. You're putting up, in a sense, I've noticed this when people reach out to me. It's almost like an excuse. I'll try to be there. I'll try to get there. I'll try to do that. No, it will get done. People will give feedback, and we will make those changes, and we will improve, and we will take over, and we
Of
will
course.
touch lives.
Actually, that's an obstacle in my English. Sorry.
You have perfect. But once again, from the Guardians of Web3, thank you guys for coming, and I'm ending this space in 3, 2, 1. Peace.